pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. Right now, in silence and remembrance of Mark Custer, custodian in Rogers Park, that's been with us for a while. He passed away recently. Thank you. Thank you. Mrs. Molinaro isn't here tonight. Mr. Ginelli is substituting. Could you do the roll call, Richard, please?
Eileen Alberts,
Yeah.
Ms. Cooper,
She's going to be late, she called.
Michael Ferguson. Here. And Rose Lusky-Latin.
Here.
Richard Hawley. Here. Ginelli here. David McCrea. Here. Kathleen Molinaro. Rob, the professor.
Present.
Robert Jefferson.
Here.
And Phyllis Benzilla.
Here. All right, thank you. All right, our recognitions for tonight, we have a bunch of people who can stay standing in the back of the room going, we can't figure out why we're here. But they're here. Something magnificent happened, something that's every day for them, but very magnificent for me. All right, I'm going to hold it up. If you can all hear me. Can everybody hear me? Everybody in the back row, thank you very much. Flo, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, there we go. Because sometimes Flo doesn't hear. It's me. No, it's not. Just because I speak to Lauren. Anyway, back to something more serious. The gentlemen that are standing in the back of the room, they're here to be acknowledged. We don't have any big gifts for them or checks as some of them asked for. We just here to say publicly thank you very much. They did a yeoman's amount of work this year, this summer, with all the construction projects going on throughout our district. Actually went on for over a year because I don't remember not seeing trucks in front of Park Avenue School for years now. I think it's years, I'm not quite sure. And now they're not, and everything's expanded and everybody's getting along and principals are happy, kids have more space, and they're just working on whatever that list is that in all the schools that they always have, even in my house. I'm so proud to be associated with them. What happens is, the reason I'm proud to be associated with them is because there's so many naysayers, so many people that said, you guys are never going to finish this, the kids are never going to get back in. The kids not only got back in time, one school was finished, cleaned up and done earlier so that people could vote in their assigned voting place. That was unbelievable amount of work from these people. And it's part of that community spirit that we seem to have in Danbury, and that nobody ever pays attention, that we just take for granted, take for granted. I saw today in the News Times that there was a project going on at the new West Side Academy, and the Danbury Fire Department came to help the kids facilitate the experiment that they were running. It's very unusual in a city this size that everybody cooperates to that level. And I appreciate it, and I want to say I appreciate it to everybody that's here, and to those gentlemen back there that work so hard on these projects. So the superintendent's going to acknowledge them.
Well, gentlemen, what I need to say is this before I introduce Jalbut's here and Joe. I think really it was a team to get this done there. Things that were done at those schools that was not part of this, they were not part of the specs, but Tom and the whole crew and Antonio saw things that didn't make sense for kids, and they changed them. Many times we'd have to say, we'd go in there and it'd be done. And for that I thank you, and I'm sure there's more things behind the scenes to get it done. They did something that was virtually impossible, and that was building that West Side Academy. When we closed down, it was late in June, so just those things alone are phenomenal. And those little things really make a difference, so thank you. A community is defined by the school that it keeps. And, we really keep our schools at a level that we're proud of. And what you've done for us, just reinforces that. So I thank you very much. Just so I don't miss anyone, Joe, do you have any, where's Joe? Joe, do you have a few things to say? And then you can introduce.
No,
No, I just, same thing, I'd like to echo the same thing Sal said, it's been a pleasure. Fareed and Antonio, Tom, and Dan, really with all the pieces that we've done with the FF&E for the schools, the technology that are in West Side now, it's really been incredible. And the additional, to Sal's point, problems and things are in, like Park Avenue, that kind of addressed along the way. There were a couple ongoing annoyances that were there that we had to deal with, got dealt with. So, and things even like efficiencies that we've now pushed further ahead with, variable speed motors on some of our HVAC units. So I mean, the schools are even better than they were in the old areas. So it's really incredible.
You want to introduce your team there, Mr.
Sure.
Thank you.
Just, my name's
Mayor
Antonio.
tells me he has 2 minutes.
My name's Antonio Idarola. I'm the Director of Public Works. I have my team here, and this isn't an undertaking that one person can move forward. It's a small team, but we work very, very closely together. And without your team, which is Joe and Rich and all the other people behind the scenes, we would never be able to get this done. There was so much hand-holding that they did with some staff, which we couldn't accomplish. So together is how this happened. I had somebody say to me the other day, there has been never in the history of the city that this much work has been done in this short of a time frame. And that's an incredible tribute to everybody here. And not only did we do that, we actually went through the state. We got all of our approvals. We'll get all of our reimbursements. Our records are meticulous, and it is an incredible task. So, but I do want to tell you, working with your team is really phenomenal. This is the 4th municipality that I've worked in. I've always worked with the Board of Education, renovating schools, dealing with problems in schools, and it just clicks here. You don't have to try. The relationship is there, the trust is there, and I want to thank you guys for building that on your side. So I don't want to belabor this anymore, but Fareed Curry is our city engineer. Fareed's role in the whole process was to procure the architectural services, the engineering services. He managed the engineering services through the development. We had an incredibly short time frame to get through the state, which we managed to accomplish. That's before they lost all their staff, so good luck on the next project. But so Fareed, as a city engineer, really worked hard to do that. And Dan, Dan is, he's not new to the city. Dan is actually a mechanical engineer that we somehow got him to do civil work. And you know what? He's phenomenal at it. So Dan Petrovich, thank you so much for all the work you've done. And once the plans were approved by the state, we immediately went to bid, and that's where the second team kicks in. That's Tom Hughes and Dan Reisner. They basically facilitate the complete construction contract, day-to-day issues that come up during construction, issues with renovating a school and the staff that occupies it. They really foster all that work, and that was a true challenge. So again, they really took the burden of this work once it actually was approved. So I want to give them a hand to Rich Jalbert, I just was trying to find words to describe this man. He is phenomenal. There isn't a time that we don't call him, that he doesn't come running. If he's got a major issue, his delivery is perfect. The way he kind of expresses a major issue is perfect. It doesn't get anybody riled up. It just welcomes you to help him. So he's a great asset that you have. And both the superintendent and Joe, the director of finance, they really bring the other two pieces together. So we want to thank you guys. Projects for about 10 years. So
That is not true. Nice try, though.
yeah, no, just so we don't get to see you guys that often. We do come by once in a while and chat. But the high school project is really the next undertaking. And as you know, we've hired an architect, and we have some preliminary options for developing the population growth that's coming there. We're still fine-tuning some of these options, and once we kind of get that put together, obviously we'll meet with the superintendent, we'll meet with the director of finance, and eventually we'll do a presentation for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
There's also just one quick other thing that Antonio left out is also city's ongoing work on the playgrounds. The city now is actually launching a $300,000 rehab of 3 playgrounds across the city, plus repairs on the others. So it's, and Tom Hughes is actually heading up that piece. So it's been a big thing. It's going to be really great for our kids once they're all completed.
That's what I was wondering what Tom Hughes was going to do now.
Yeah. But,
So I'm glad you have all that something to do, and now you don't have to stay anymore. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have more recognitions. We have our new assistant principal at Penn School. I just met her, introduced myself to her.
Gwen.
She's lovely, Gwen.
Gwen Bell. Gwen is our assistant, interim assistant, right, over at King Street.
Yeah.
She's there, and she started in the district in '97.
Yes. Yeah. I started in '97 at Park Avenue. So when they're talking about the renovation, it is beautiful over there. They did a wonderful job, and they got it together right at the end, and the staff was able to get in. So really, it's beautiful there now.
And you're over at King Street now.
And now I'm at King Street, excited about the playground. But I'm very excited to be there. Tina Hislop and I are taking the campus. It's 2 buildings. It's intermediate and primary, and bringing it together to be more of a campus feel. The staff has been wonderful on campus and then here at the Board of Ed area, helping me get acclimated to my new job and everything. So I'm very excited for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
I'm very excited to hear you there.
Thank you.
Do you have a legacy to the board?
I do. My husband, Matt Gallagher, was the chairman, I think when we first started dating. And that was always my aunt, who was in the education business too, said, oh, you should go to the Board of Ed meetings, get to know them. I said, I'm dating the chairman. It's not working at the time when I was looking for a job. So, it was that way. Yeah, he was for many years. So,
Well, we're glad to have you.
I'm very excited. Thank you.
So our next topic, the next bullet point is exciting. And I'm just going to read it, and then I'm going to ask the coach to get up and talk to us about it. USA Today High School Sports named the boys sports program at Danbury High School one of the top 5 in the state of Connecticut.
Chip was inducted in the Hall of Fame for Yankton College, South Dakota this year as defensive tackle. He's a top defensive tackle in 100 years history of the school.
Thank you, Dr. Southwest. I tell the kids all the time I still can go out and play, but they don't want to take me up. USA, top 5 recognition, unbelievable. We did one of those things that we didn't politic, we didn't do anything, we didn't sign an application, we didn't do anything. I got a phone call from USA Today in July telling us that we are one of the top 5 in the state based on a lot of things. Leadership, competitiveness, consistency of programming, community support, and we were put into a hopper. Basically, if we went past the 5, we would have went into the regional and national competition for the top athletic program boys in the country. But this is a wonderful thing for us. It kind of it stamps the direction we'd like to take our programs. We call our kids, we talk to our kids constantly, our coaches. Our goal is to be the top program in the state of Connecticut, and we're not just talking about wins and losses, we're talking about all the things, the intangibles, character, leadership. In fact, I'm going to let Dr. Sell know tomorrow officially, but we have a young man that was just named as one of the top 3 in the state of Connecticut for sportsmanship. This young man, Cody Mullet, boys cross country, basically started a project last year to raise funds for one of our schools in the conference, the basketball team down in Bridgeport. He went down and basically single-handedly, with support of his teammates, coaches, raised about $1,500 so those kids down in Bridgeport could purchase sneakers for their program. So we have some outstanding individuals, and I'm really supportive. Thank you to the board for your support, and we look forward to continuing to grow as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That lines up our recognitions. It's time for public participation. I have the list. We can start with Laura Finley from Grandview Avenue. Laura?
Hi. I'm really happy about Park Avenue, and it's all great, and the extension, solar panels, everything that's going on, but at the same time, our school has been neglected. It took 3 years to get funds for the roof and the light.
Yeah, you're talking to the mic, I'm sorry.
Should be on.
Should be on. A little closer.
Okay, sorry. So it took about 3 years for them to get funds to get the roof done. Now our playground, it's been over 2 years. I was happy to hear that there are things that are going to be going in place, but when? It's been many accidents that's been going on in the school. So last year there was no access to part of it with a little police tape around it, kids falling off, things happening. This year there's a big old thing, so it's been condemned. My kids have nowhere in the community to even go for a playground. There's only partial of the playground to play. Highland Avenue, the gates are closed. I can't park there, so I either have to walk there with my kids. There's nowhere to really go. So I don't know how long this is going to be. My kids need activity. They really need somewhere to go and get some steam off, and the streets are not where I want them. And I just really hope that something is going to be happening sooner than later. I spoke to the school about doing big fundraisers because I helped out. I was on auction committees and stuff in Ridgefield when my kids were in preschool. But those stuff take like 6 months in order to do that. And the first year, it's not going to be, it's big money for this playground. And there's 2 over at Highland Avenue that nobody can really get to. And it's big concerns.
Thank you. I forgot to read my piece, and maybe you're confused why you're not answering. We don't answer, we just listen to you.
Yeah, I am.
And then someone from administration.
I just have a question.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's Moore Street you're talking about?
Correct.
Because you said Highland Avenue. Okay.
Yes, Moore Street School. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Miller. I'm going to read the thing I'm supposed to read. I'm so sorry. The board welcomes public participation and asks the speakers please limit their comments to 3 minutes. Speakers may offer objective comments of school operations and programs that concern them. The board will not permit any expression of personal complaints or defamatory comments about the Board of Education personnel and students, nor against any person connected with the Danbury Public School System. Sorry, I forgot. Okay. Next on my list, I have Mia?
Yes, Neil.
Mia, I'm sorry.
Neil Galarza.
Pronounce your last name for me?
Excuse me?
Pronounce your last name?
Galarza.
Okay.
Yes, hi, good night. My name is Mia Galarza. I am the mother of a student at Danbury High School. And this is the first time here, but I'm here because I am also the facilitator of support group of parents for children with disabilities that we've been meeting for the last year. And we thought that we could bring some of our concerns that had to do with special education. There's 3 major issues that we want to bring. One is transitional services for our children. Some of the parents are not aware of both employment and community services and college options for students, and we would like that process to start early, as soon as kids get in 9th grade. Also, we have an issue about concern about after-school programs for our children. We feel that there's not programs that our children can have recreational opportunities. There was a program called Unified Sports that is no longer in existence. That's something that we would like to see back. There's another program that is throughout Connecticut, is Best Bodies. That's a program we would like to see at Danbury High School, where our children get peer interaction and develop social skills, and they don't feel isolated within the school contexts. And also, another point that we are concerned about is creating awareness among the teachers and school personnel and students about children with disabilities, including those in the autism spectrum. And we would like to see more speakers brought up to the schools, or professionals that can create awareness about the issues that concern our children, especially those with autism. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Great. Now we have someone whose name I can say, and Ray C.
Chaffee.
Chaffee, I said Chaffee.
That's right.
I also know where that's right from the other.
Hi, good evening. My name is Anne-Marie C.B. Chaffee, and I live at 56 Park Avenue, where I've lived for 23 years. And I just wanted to read this to you. AT&T, doing business as Singular Wireless, has petitioned 11-01 before the Connecticut Siting Council for a decision to install a stealth cell phone tower across the street from my house and less than 250 feet from the Park Avenue School campus. Many studies by scientists worldwide warn that constant exposure to microwave radiation has effects on health. Now that's constant exposure. For example, constant exposure will produce a 25% increase in brain cancers within 2 to 10 years exposure. The United States regulations are the most liberal in the world. Studies in Great Britain have shown that school children are especially vulnerable to the dangers of microwave radiation due to the fact that their skulls are thinner because they are still forming and growing. There has also been studies that show more incidences of childhood leukemia and autism occurring when a cell tower is located near a school. The Connecticut state regulation states that the cell tower must be 250 feet from the school. The law is not specific as to school, campus, or building. It seems this tower will be 270 feet from the tip of the tower to the nearest desk, or that is my understanding how the distance was measured. Those concerned about the children in the neighborhood argue that the law is not specific and it is less than 250 feet from the school property from the tower. In addition to this, homes surrounding the tower will lose value because the public perceives that the tower is hazardous to their health. This represents a taking from homeowners with no compensation by AT&T. In addition to this, people with certain types of heart pacemakers could be endangered from being in the area of the cell tower. This too represents a taking. For myself, I will not live across the street from this tower because it is my personal belief, based on all the science I have read from medical journals and science journals worldwide, that the constant exposure will be harmful to my health. This is a violation of my 14th Amendment rights. I will have to move from the home that I love and have lived in for 23 years and planned on living in through my retirement. This too represents a taking by AT&T of the quiet enjoyment of my home. Studies also show that many people who live near cell towers are constantly exposed to microwave radiation, suffer from sleeplessness, migraine headaches, and lack of ability to concentrate. Should AT&T prevail, I will not endanger my health by continuing to live there. But the school children have no choice. I can move, but the neighborhood children have to go to the Park Avenue School from kindergarten through 5th grade. Now, I feel that the Board of Ed, as an officially elected body, should speak for those children.
And I ask three things. Please, that you sign this petition tonight. I'll pass it around. There are some blank sheets. It needs to be turned in by the 17th of September. We have 555 names on this part of the petition that was already turned in. And also, I ask that you please file a protest with the Siting Council so you can be on record that you protested this, okay? And third, as a last resort, should this tower be approved, that you write a letter to the chairman and CEO of AT&T and ask them to be a good corporate citizen and not locate this tower so close to that school. They have somewhere else they can locate it. They do not have to put it there. And this is all about greed. That's what this is about. So, if there's anything you can do, I appreciate it, because someone has got to speak for those children. Because I guarantee you 100%, if that tower goes there, some of those kids will be 20 years old and they'll find out that they get brain cancer, and two of their friends that they went through school with have brain cancer too. And what are we going to do then? We have a total responsibility to them to prevent this, if we can possibly try, because they have nowhere else to go. And just that, the children who live right where the tower is in Village Square, in that row of condos, there are no children in the houses right across where I live, but there are children in Linron that will all be constantly exposed 24/7, going to that school and living right there. And this is very dangerous. So I ask you, please, if you can do something about this, please stand with me and do something. Even if you just write a futile letter to, this major, capitalist, and ask them, please, not to be so greedy. Okay? This is too dangerous for these children.
Thanks, Emery.
Does anybody want to sign this?
Why don't you just pass it around?
Okay.
Thank you.
There are some empty spaces. And this is what this petition says. I'll just read the top so you don't have to spend your time. Pursuant to the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, right of the people to petition government, we, the undersigned citizens of the city of Danbury, Connecticut, hereby oppose petition 11-01 before the Connecticut Siting Council because it is hazardous to the health of our citizens, their families, and especially their children.
Thank you, Emery. Just so everyone knows you're signing as an individual citizen, not as a board member.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Anybody else in the second row? Third row? Fourth row? Okay.
Good evening. My name is on the list. I'm a little late.
That's all right, sir. I'm going to ask you to sign that before you leave. You don't have to sign it right now. You can speak first. Thank you.
My name is Connell Chambers. I don't know if anyone already approached the matter in reference to residency at Abbey Woods and our students getting to school to Rogers Park via transportation by the school buses there, and where they have to get the buses. Currently, the students have to walk about 2 miles to the bus stop to get on the bus to school to Rogers Park, leaving from Abbey Woods. Abbey Woods is a new development that's in Danbury. However, the location where they get the bus at is at Reserve in Old Bridgebury Road, and it's quite a walk for the students to get to the bus. And I don't think it's a safe situation, considering during the winter hours in the morning, they have to get to the bus at 6:56 in the morning. it will be dark at that time, and standing on the road there waiting for a bus, it could be detrimental to them. There's no telling what can possibly happen. Just the walk from the home to them, because it's near a reserve and it's mostly wooded area there. So we were asked to come to you, and also Abbey Woods administration sent out something to the Board of Education in reference to transportation for the students there. So if we please can do something in reference to changing the pickup location for the students. I don't understand why the bus can't come along into the property to pick the students up, because it's many times I've taken my son over to Crown Point where the bus comes right into development to get the students. And sometimes I'm not home from work, or my wife isn't home from work, and it's quite a walk for him to get home. So for them to have to walk, it's at least 1.5 miles for them to walk home from the school bus, considering that this is a public transportation that's provided by the Board of Education already. Why shouldn't the students be picked up directly from their home? Thank you.
You're very welcome, sir. Thank you. All right. Anybody else in that row? Anybody in the last row? All right, seeing none, we're going to move along. The consent calendar.
Before we do the consent calendar, just make a comment on the recognitions that you see may go up. Although tonight we recognize the heads of all these departments in both the Board of Ed as well as the city, and Antonio, the night of dedication, said something very, very strong, because again he was being praised in the streets. But he said also that the recognition should go to the people that work in his staff. So although these are the heads of the departments, that again it wouldn't have been done if they couldn't have a fulfilled obligation of their staff members, their secretaries, and the other people. So just for the record, the recognition goes not only to the leaders of the departments, but everybody else who work with them. That goes as well for the Board of Ed as well as for the city. I think it's important to recognize everybody. With regard to the consent calendar, there's a motion that the Board of Ed, Board of Education approve the items on the consent calendar and exhibits 14, 159 through and including 164 as recommended. All in favor?
No, do I hear a second, please?
Second.
Is there any questions? Any comments? Seeing none. All in favor?
I usually cut to the chase.
Okay, that's... Hey, never mind. All right. That takes care of that. Now we're going to our... Is there any employee representation here? Okay, seeing none. We have our student representatives who are here. Welcome. It's the first of many meetings. If you'll introduce yourself before you speak, that would be nice. You're all from Danbury High, right?
Yes. Hi, my name is Jamie Gerna, and I'm the president of BOE at Danbury High School. This is Grace Shalati, the vice president of Danbury High School, and this is Tyler Amaral, our treasurer. Our secretary, Allie Smith, cannot be with us tonight, but she sends the best regards.
Okay.
Our school has gotten off to a great start. We hit it flawlessly with a great almost 3 weeks. Our freshmen have acclimated quite quickly, better than ever, and our transition to school was fantastic. Our school is looking better than ever after we won our Celebrate the Drive contest last year. We have a great new school, and we are so excited to be there.
The Celebrate My Drive money was used for 8 new lunch tables outside, 30 Chromebooks, and a cart in the media center, and that big sign in the front of the school, and a bunch of landscaping down at the main entrance. And then we gave $10,000 to grants for Teachers for the Mayor's Foundation, which was one of the largest donations that they've ever received. And then another one big promotion they did was They gave each class money so that they could hold an after prom party that was like safe driving, so that students would be safe after prom.
Just some events that are going on in our high school coming up. We have our Senior Fest on Friday. Everyone's invited here. We have our football game after that. It starts at 7 o'clock. We have our band jamboree Saturday at 5 o'clock. And we have our open house Monday at 6 o'clock in the auditorium. It begins. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, and welcome.
Thank you.
I just need to add something to that. And the landscaping, there is a company in town, I just want to tell you who it is, donating all the labor. And they bought the plants, but that person just doesn't want anyone to know. Spent a tremendous amount of time making sure that it looks aesthetic and provides pleasant. So you need to know that there are some angels out there in the south.
All right, thank you. Thanks, guys. Moving on, we're going to the presentation. Mr. Cunningham's here, Terrence is here, and he's here with Mrs. Wong.
Yes.
And would you like to come on up and
Good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to be here this evening. My name is Terrence Cunningham, and I'm the Director of Adult and Continuing Education. And part of my responsibilities when I came on board with Danbury was to coordinate summer school's activities. And I'm here along with Dr. Mary Beach, who actually served as our Director for our summer school. So we're going to give some information in regards to how this summer went. And before I go into the presentation, I just wanted to say that summer school was very exciting and extremely successful this year. When I first came on board, one of the first things Dr. Sal said to me was, "You're the Director of Adult Education, and you're doing summer school." So I realized from the very beginning how important it was to him and his vision for what we wanted to do with summer school. We actually met numerous times along with Dr. Glass, our IEP team, numerous meetings with the high school administration as well as the middle school administration, and just planning these summer activities. Some things that we wanted to do with regards to our middle school program was to increase the rigor, make sure that the students really received a thorough education to prepare them for the upcoming school year. So we really felt that we got to that point this summer where we really were able to achieve that goal. The students were extremely excited about the program, even though they were required to come at the middle school level. They really received a well-rounded education, and they appreciated it. So going into my presentation, just to give you a little overview. Summer school employed 17 Danbury teachers who established high expectations and provided an experience to the students to rise above the challenges they faced academically. The teachers' dedication in adapting their respective curricula to meet the needs of the individual student was outstanding. The number of students attending summer school this year was slightly more than the number that attended last year. On the next page of the presentation, you'll see some enrollment numbers. 2014, this past summer, we had 26 overall 6th grade students, 36 overall 7th grade students, and 63 8th grade students. Last year, we showed the numbers where students were not required to come. They were strongly recommended that they come to the school, summer school, where the numbers were 16 for math, language arts, 19 for math. In the 7th grade, there was 18 students. Language arts, there were 17. And in the 8th grade, there were 67 students. To kind of reiterate what I was speaking in terms of STAR, the STAR program students was considered students transitioning at risk, was implemented last year to provide support for 8th grade students who had demonstrated difficulty with academic success in middle school. The program focused on the prerequisite skills necessary for a successful transition to the next grade. This year, the program expanded to all middle school grades. As I spoke earlier, this year, the students who were in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade who had received 2 grades that were lower than passing were required to attend our STAR summer program. And that was our selection criteria. In order for those students to be promoted to the next grade level, they were required to perform well and be successful in our summer school program. And they really performed well. The monitoring of the progress for the students, progress was tracked through weekly progress reports that were sent home each Friday. Students were required to return this form signed by their parents on that Monday. Students in math were given a pre and post assessment to validate their growth. Next year, students will have to complete a writing sample similar to a DBR, document-based question to use as a baseline for their achievement for the summer. At this time, I'm going to turn over the microphone to Dr. Beach, who will speak about the high school credit recovery program.
Good evening. In terms of the high school program, it was run in two-week sessions, each corresponding with the semesters of instruction at Danbury High School. So we have first semester classes, we have second semester classes. For a student to take a summer school class, he or she would have to have passed in the given semester one of the 2 quarters. So in semester 1, they had to pass either quarter 1 or quarter 2. In the second semester, they would have to have passed either quarter 3 or quarter 4 in order to be eligible to do what we call the credit recovery summer school program. We offered all disciplines with regards to classes. You can see in terms of our math, we have our pre-algebra, our algebra 1, our algebra 2 in geometry. Our English, we had English 1, 2, 3, and 4. Science, we had chemistry as well as biology. We offered gym, as well as social studies, the idea of modern world, world studies, U.S. history, and civics. We also offered world language in terms of Spanish 1 and Spanish 2, but unfortunately, based upon limited enrollment, those particular courses did not run. But all of the other courses that I previously listed were indeed run in summer school. What we know with regards to our program is that from Danbury High School, we had 174 students register. We also had 10 students from 5 other districts, come to our school. The first line referenced the fact that we had 183 students enrolled in 269 classes. As I did out my spreadsheet with regards to our grading, I took a look at how many names actually appeared, and it actually worked out to be the 183. And again, 269 courses. Some kids took numerous courses. They could take up to 4 in the summer school program to get their credits back. As a point of reference back is, why are we offering the summer school program? We want to try to keep the kids on track to graduate. So it's a way in which they can gain back their credits. If you look at the next page in terms of how did we compare to the 2013 year, again, our population was down slightly with regards to overall students, but all in all, we saw that again, in terms of each year, our classes that needed to be staffed the most were first semester 9th grade classes, including our biology, our algebra 1, and our English 1 classes. So again, we're still seeing that again, kids are still having some time adjusting in terms of Danbury High School.
That concludes our actual presentation in regards to what we accomplished this summer. Again, we had a lot of support. From the very beginning, we had a lot of individuals who came out to volunteer their services, work with the developing the curriculum, really improving upon what was already in existence. And the students, I believe, received a wonderful experience, even though a lot of them were hot. This summer was a little bit better than last summer. We didn't have a lot of blistery hot weather, so the students were pretty happy about that. But it was really an enlightening experience, and I enjoyed it immensely.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's very concise. We have questions if you don't.
Yes, I'm just interested, there was a 2-week session for a student. Each day, how many hours do they put in for the recovery?
3 hours a day.
How many?
3 hours a day. So that we had a session that ran from 8 to 11, and then we had a second session that ran from 11:30 to 2:30.
Okay, and these students obviously had already passed at least half of them.
Correct. They had to, at least a passing quarter.
Because it is kind of compressed when you look at it.
Correct.
Anybody else have any questions?
Just for the board, although this went well, the other part did not go well. The part where we tried to encourage students to accelerate their electives program, to open up time in their curriculum. We had some students sign up. We talked about meeting early this fall.
Correct.
Communicating with counselors, getting information to parents. It is a little costly. It would cost quite a bit for a course because we have to meet the carding units to do that. But I think there's really a perception that summer schools are remedial, and it shouldn't be that way. I think our 8th grade students can experience an elective by coming on the school campus, getting electives done while they orientate themselves to the high school. We have students who can't take courses because they haven't taken the prerequisite, and we can offer that to them. So I think we need to start early, and you guys have done a great job at that. I thank you for that. We talked about some blended work, where a lot of our work is at class, but there is the opportunity to do blended activities at home and at school where students are working. We understand that. So there's some ideas. Hopefully next year we can at least get the elective part, because I think it's pretty powerful for students. But I thank you for what you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just hold on one second.
The students in the credit recovery, have they been identified so they're not repeat offenders? Or such as, are they monitored closer entering their sophomore, junior, or senior year so that, we can keep a closer eye on them so that they don't fall back?
To my knowledge, no.
Can you think of anything that we can do as a board, or for that matter as administration, to identify them so that?
Let me answer that, because there is. There's two positions we hired in the Alliance Grant. That,
The Dean of Student Support?
Yes, they have cadre of students that are qualified, and they meet with them, contract with them, and we keep an eye on it. So after summer school,
right, correct,
coming, they're on the list, and then someone's mindful of, are they going to classes? Are they doing their work? And then we instituted this year for the upper school as well. So we have 2 of the Alliance Grant guys working. So,
And we've also forwarded the names of students to that, the dean of students, so they can follow up those students. So we're going to be very soon. So
and having Mary up there teaching really makes a great connection.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You may, now this time you can leave, actually. Thanks a lot. Wait a minute, hold on. Not for them. I'm sorry, Richard has a question.
Directed to Chairperson and Dr. Pascal. Is it possible in the future, when we have presentations, that the material be included with the packet? I only say this because one, I find it rude to read while somebody's talking, and then to absorb both. It's sort of, my mind can't work that fast as to try to read something and listen. I don't think it does me a justice to try to absorb and come up with a instructive question if I don't have the material in advance. So if the material is in advance, if it's sent to the packet, it would give us more time to digest it and have a better understanding when it's explained, and then have more information so we can get back with valid questions.
It makes sense to me, Richard, because I understand that it's like you're reading it and they're talking and maybe they're answering the question that's coming up.
Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk, what it is all about time. This gets out on Friday afternoon. We just need to get everything there, and sometimes it's a challenge. And we try not to, but we can try. So,
We certainly can. We certainly can. Before we go on to the next subject, which is the superintendent, before the superintendent starts going on about his report and on, I would like to acknowledge something that was brought to mind, and I'm saying this to everybody in the audience and people around the table. We went through our consent calendar, I know what it's called. I truly knew for 2 years I figured it out. The consent calendar. And we read the consent calendar ahead of time. We know what we're voting on. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. And usually 9 times out of 10 we approve it when there's no conversation about it. Except there were some donations that happened that I would like to say out loud so that people actually understand when I was talking about the collaboration between the community and the Board of Education. Important things happened. We had an anonymous $10,000 donation to Norwich, to Norwich Primary School. It's anonymous, we don't know where it came from. It might have come from a business or it might have come from a family, we don't know. And it's the third year in a row. Because I know I've been reading for a long time. Okay. Then we had a donation of literacy and numeracy resources from Robert Cox that was valued at $129,000. Thank you, Robert Cox. Okay, we really appreciate it. We need to acknowledge who these people are. And then we had a $6,000 donation from a corporation that does so much for us, Pitney Bowes Foundation, and the Danbury Education Foundation for $3,500 to the Family Literacy Center. And a $2,500 donation to school readiness. Was just a blank donation?
No, grants were written for both of them. Grants were submitted, proposals were submitted to Pitney Bowes for both of those.
Okay.
And that was the amount we asked for.
Thank you very much for explaining it. Because these are the things we wanted to say out loud. I mean, people are writing grants, businesses are giving us the money. Thank you to everybody involved. All right, and there was another $10,000 donation from Sodexo. And these are wonderful things that we don't ever acknowledge, and we need to start talking about it out loud. Thank you very much.
I missed it. I didn't see Ann back there before. I just wanted to thank them, and I think I saw Lauren back there too. This weekend, they were at the Taste of Danbury. It was 950 degrees, and they were out there with the literacy bus, and they were, promoting the Danbury school system and literacy bus and handing out books. I just want to thank you guys. I didn't see you back there before when recognition was on. Sorry about that, but they did a great job. Helped them set up the tent. We'll talk about getting a new tent. I'll talk to Joe about that because it fell apart. But other than that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, everybody. Okay, now moving along to the doctor.
Madam Chair, I'm willing to go after discussions. Any parents are here for the enrollment transportation discussion.
Okay.
That's fine with me.
Okay, that's good.
As you know, last year with the redistricting and the opening of all of the additions, we've had to do some busing, transversing across the city, and it's been very challenging. The board, in its budget, added 4 buses, and we, in fact, just met today. And we try within the first 20 days or so to make adjustments. We've got some real challenges. As we want to talk about tonight, along with some other areas. Just for the board's edification, understanding, our goal is to try to keep our rides under. There is no state statute other than special education. The recommendation for those students that are not going to be on that. But you got kidding around with first graders. You like to do it as short as possible. A half hour would be great, a little more, but we have up to an hour, and that's somewhat of a challenge. They tell us that the high schoolers and middle schoolers can walk 2 miles to a bus stop. And who knows, I'm sure they can get in there 2 miles, right? If they have teenagers or whatever. And then the others, I think, is what, 1.5 miles? And we try not, there's hazardous roads, and we make pickups right at the home. So that goes into the play, and then we start making adjustments. There's a unique situation in the code that sometimes prevents us from making stops, and that's one of the things we're going to talk about tonight regarding buses not being permitted to go into what they call private roads. And there's a process to go through if we decide to go that route, and that's what we want to talk about tonight for some accommodation. So it's kind of bifurcated situation. Right now we're adjusting the current roles buses, and this is a problem, just so you know. We have the magnet schools, and the kids exit 1 on 84, we're picking up kids on the other side of town to go to our magnet programs, our bilingual programs, to meet state mandates. Some of them are centralized, so we stay on staff, but students have some people going all across our boundaries, and that's been difficult. So maybe we'll start with the proposal with that and go to the stops.
The issue Dr. Sal's talking about is related to Abbey Woods. Abbey Woods is over by what was the Union Carbide property over by Old Bridgebury, I believe that's 2. That section of town. That development was done by Toll Brothers, and there's another developer up there. I believe there's about 600 or 700 homes total by the time the development will be done. The roads right now are deemed what are known as private roads. In other words, we don't transverse private roads in the community unless there's been either different issues that have come up with those. But what happened with Abbey Woods that's unique is those roads at some point will become what are known as city roads. They were built to city specs. Currently today, the roads are private, but the city has been deeply involved in the specking the roads, the designs of the sewer systems, the weight capacity for the bridges going through Abbey Woods. The number of children in that development right now, we believe, is approximately 50 students, servicing Danbury High School, Riders Park, Westside Academy. And as the gentleman did point out, there are some long walking distances inside the development. We are evaluating now, and I wanted to update the board on the idea of actually going into Abbey Woods for stops. We do believe the future there's going to be many more students moving into that development. We do see some time, some lengths there. We don't think it's going to seriously impact busing because we think we're going to put 2 common stops. Our goal, when I tell you, we are going to, in a sense, travel on the roads that will be accepted by the city at some point in the future. There is some other roads in that development that will always be private roads. Those are not areas we're going to go into. We are in contact now. I had a conversation with the woman who is the manager for the development for at least the Abbey Woods section. She and I spoke on the phone on road specs. Freed Curry, the city engineer, we had a long conference call, Melanie Lucas and myself, about bridge structure, weight limits on those, and everything is up to code there. We are now evaluating stop runs and what that looks like to go through that development. So I just want to kind of give the board a flavor of where we are with that, because I know that there's been a lot of outcry from a number of parents about those stuff.
Well, the state code is pretty prescriptive. If we wanted to send the buses in there, we really can't send the buses in there without going through this process. And one of them is making sure that the roads meet specifications. In fact, up there they exceed specifications. There was some concern about some traveling over a bridge, and that was confirmed to be appropriate. So I think with going through those steps and then talking to you, unless you tell us not to, we'd like to continue evaluating it to see what we can do to do that. The other part of this was make sure that someone's contracted to clean the roads. If there's ice and if there's snow, we can't start going up there and then the road's not being cleaned. That's not the case. We'll have some assurances there as well. We don't think that's going to be a problem. We at times have had others ask us to go into private roads and we've said no because they don't meet the standard. So I don't think there's a precedent. We're following the prescriptive law and regulations here as we are with the stop. So we like to continue doing it. The only difference here is we may have to add 1 to 2 buses. We got to add 1 bus anyway. And that actually will help us in terms of some of the egress issues and traveling issues that we have. But I don't think that should stop us at this point in terms of if we're permitted to go up there, if you don't mind us continue looking at it, and we evaluate the bus company, and then we'll try to get it done for the parents and the kids. One of the things that you need to keep in your head, we keep hearing that we're not going to get kids out of these developments. I'm telling you, we have 50 kids up there. And we talked to Mr. Pivo, was it, the other day?
Bill Buckley.
Bill Buckley, yeah. Okay. Trying to get a count on the rental, how many kids we're getting out there. Because, our enrollments are going up, but when that was looked at, there was a different lens on it. So Joe hired another demographer this year, Peter Prowler, to look at that again, to relook at that, and to make sure that we're on target as we plan strategically for buses, transportation, and buildings after this. Because I think it's going to impact us much greater than what they originally perceived.
I don't want to leave Abbey Woods. The ridership is up across the city. We are definitely seeing much more students riding our buses now. We have some overcrowded runs that, in a sense, are running like a bus 57 and a bus 57A right now because of the overcrowding issues we're having. We are having some late runs. We're trying to make some adjustments on those. It's been a very challenging year in busing, particularly, to Dr. Sal's point, Westside, in a sense, drains across the whole city, as does, like the magnet school, AIS has 11 buses that service that because it's coming from all across the city. We are seeing some increased ridership up at the high school, And also, too, with all-day K, our midday bus runs are gone, so you have a lot more students riding on the shoulders in your morning and afternoon, where before a lot of those kids were in the middle, and they weren't impacting the morning and evening runs. So we're seeing a lot of issues there. We did program in 4 buses. I let the bus company loose with 3, in hopes that we can kind of, make some things work. But we really, at this point, I've already authorized the 4th, and Dr. Sani did just meet with Marge, and we really are going to be pushing for the 5th, particularly the west side and some of those runs crossing the city. Because obviously the way the lottery dictates where the students fall, we really have kids that are sent down to the Bethel border to some that are as far as almost into New York State. So that is becoming a very challenge.
So unless there's an objection, we'd like to continue planning, right?
And we don't think Abbey Woods will impact adding additional busing, but the rest of the ridership that we're seeing on those runs is Great Plains. We're seeing some overcrowding there. So it's been, and just so the board knows, each bus is approximately $59,000. Something I'd like to see.
Ambrose.
I think we definitely need to continue to look at this because from my parent circles, this is all I'm hearing about is busing and transportation. And the constant phone calls that I'm getting because my son or daughter has been on the bus for an hour and a half. My own personal children are on the bus for an hour and 20 minutes. So I know this is happening, and I know it's not them just complaining. I know this is happening across, and I know it's because of this very wonderful community that's now offered a middle school magnet, intermagnet. So it's causing some other issues, but I really would like at least us to publicly say to the public that we will continue to look at this, and we may have to this is our year of learning because this is a brand new, we have a new middle school, we've got some other new issues. So, I think from what I've been telling other parents is that, listen, we're learning, we're getting the information, it's a learning curve for us and a process, things that we didn't know was going to happen is happening. But I think if they just understand that we are constantly on it, looking at it, and possibly having to even add more bus runs because personally, my own children, their bus is overcrowded, and my own children are on a bus longer than an hour. And I know of other situations where it's an hour and a half. So, we know it's out there, but if we can continue to just say to the parents, we are continuing to look at this, we are continuing to evaluate, and we're behind you in that we're not going to just say, just deal with it, that we're going to continue to look at this and possibly have to add. I think we need to really consider some of those things.
Okay.
Adding some buses.
All right, and thank you, Joe. And thanks everybody, and mostly thank the people that are working on the bus routes.
Oh, I know.
I've been here 13 years, and I have never actually sat and listened. I sat and listened because of a hearing at one a few weeks ago. I listened to how exactly it was done. I heard about people riding their own cars back and forth to time these runs. I heard about them moving different locations. It is an exhausting process. What I need to say, though, is it has nothing to do with what's going on right now. And I think we need to acknowledge that. I mean, one of the nice things about being me sometimes is that I've been here for a long time, and I also had a child that went through the system. And every single year that I've been on the Board of Education, and that's 13 years, I have heard from numerous parents because this is too long, or why do they go this way, or why do they go that way, and my child is on a bus for this long period of time. The redistricting might have something to play with it in the new middle school. It adds to the confusion, but it's not confusion. They actually have science. I'm going to ask the administration if we could have someone from the bus, we could have the people that put this all together, not now, not next meeting, when we're still all in flux, but in about a month or so, if we could, someone could come and explain to everybody here how it's done, so that when you do talk to parents, you know how laborious the whole process is. My son graduated from Danbury High School in 2007. Richard Hall might be able to give me dates, how long ago it was that he went to Millbridge School. He went to Millbridge School, we lived in Impact, which is like from here, spinning across to where the school is. He was 55 minutes on that bus for 5 years that he went to Millbridge. Then he went to Rogers Park. He was an hour and a half on that bus. So these are not new problems. This is, in other words, it's not because of what's happening now. So they're working as fast as they can and as hard as they can to get things done. And we just need to keep reassuring people that we do have the best interest of everyone's child.
And I think what I hope those conversations need to be made public and I'm made aware that some people feel it's only their child that's on the bus for over an hour, and it's only my bus run. No, it's a lot more than just, it's not just one bus or one your child. So, but I think those conversations, just so that the public realizes it's still always in the front burner for us. Just so that, and I think, and they do know that, but I think if we just say it.
To that point, Robin's writing an article for us on this, about the challenges that we have. I know someone appeared 2 weeks ago, which was pretty accurate in terms of what was going on. But I think we can update the community more. And I think the point being, we'll just continue working and trying to refine it.
We're also, just so you know, Melanie Lucas is our transportation coordinator. We're processing on average about at least 200 changes a day on runs, plus new registrations. So I mean, you might have a run that's really nice on 30-minute, and literally you could have 5 or 6 students that add to that run all of a sudden because of 50-minute run because of additional stops. So I mean, it's this time of year is it's always difficult. This year, much more difficult, unfortunately.
All right, we'll revisit it in October and we'll get that.
The other part of the discussion, we do it enrollment. Transportation.
Just 2 questions. Did you want a consensus for us?
No, the hearing night, we're going to continue playing. I mean, I get the point. We're good. And we'll just, as long, but you need to know, we did go to the city. Everything is affirmed. We are working with the company, making sure we have insurances for travel in terms of icing and things. So that's all being done. So now that that's out of the way, we can start looking at can we make this. All that's clear now. It took us about 2 weeks to do that.
Okay, then the 4 or 5, say, buses that are contemplated, would there have to be a motion or something, or was this something the administration can handle?
Yes, ma'am.
No, we're budgeted for. I mean, we're going to have to.
When we reconcile the budget, we do the reconciliations, we'll have some transfer of funds at that point. You'd approve it all, right? So we'll continue working on it. On enrollment for the, our enrollment, official enrollment is October 1st.
Excuse me, 1 second. Do you want to finish that?
No, I just want to, I think my words were misinterpreted. I don't want it to sound like I'm being negative or I'm being ungrateful for what the people are doing. Because I think to move 11,000 children is a major task in this district. So I applaud everyone who has worked tirelessly, right down to, Mrs. Ferguson, who's getting those phone calls all the time at the bus. I mean, I don't want anyone to think that I am being negative or at all not appreciative, but I think we just need to make publicly known that we are still looking at it, and we will continue to look at it so that people know that it's still in our mind.
My point was not that, Ambrose. My point was not that. My point was that however many years ago it was when we were in Mill Ridge, it was the same exact problem. All right, and since I've been on board, the extra money or any money that we have, we've given instructions over and over again to the administration that money is to be used to put FaceTime with teachers in classrooms with kids. That yes, the busing is the busing. It is what it is. It's an urban area that's tied up with this hills and valleys, and it's unbelievable. But they're working. I can't believe I can never realize how hard it is ever. We all need to find out. Okay.
Well, I'll pass that along. I think they'll appreciate it. We actually got some thank yous today from parents who made some mention, and I sent them. We got notes back from the bus company saying this is great. So I'll tell them.
Yeah, Karen, Marge, and
they do appreciate it. On enrollment, October 1 is our official date, but as what we try to do is, there are folks who think school starts after Labor Day, you know that. So we had folks come to us. So as of last Monday, we've asked the principals if they haven't seen students present to drop. And that's not official until the 1st. And what will happen between that drop and the first, parents, we've gotten calls from parents, they're coming in, and that's fine, but we wanted to just clean the roads. At the high school, they clean the roads because there's waiting lists to get in courses. And if there are seats that are being taken, so the kids aren't there, they're able to put kids in. The middle schools and elementary, it's not really that kind of an issue. It's just trying to get a handle on our enrollment. The redistricting, we did do some balancing, and the numbers are down over in Mill Ridge. In terms of that, in August, it was frightened city around here. We had so many indicators that enrollments were going to explode, and they didn't explode, really. Kids move around the city. You know that. You've lived in the city longer than I have. So the enrollment at Mill Ridge is low at this point. We've had full-day kindergarten for the first year. As you said, Ann Rose, it's our first year with full-day kindergarten across the city. And we expected maybe more parents to enroll their kids than they did. But, you know, by and large, we're pretty well on target. We are in the integrated schools like Pembroke and Great Plains. That's our bilingual center is for Great Plains, and our handicapping and special programs are at Pembroke. Those classes are held to about 14 to 15, but then our students are integrated in there, which bring them up to 20 and 21. So the numbers are lower in the redistrict. Morris Street now, we moved 75 students out.
Morris did come down.
Right, it came down, so we don't have kids in the hallway. That was an issue. And
Ellsworth, we reduced Ellsworth, but it actually increased in number. So it was, we had about 40 students approximately come out, but Ellsworth saw about 40 plus new enrollments. So unfortunately, Ellsworth.
And the difference right now between last year and this year, 85 students. We're 57 less at the elementary. We have 25 more at the high school, and the delta is with the middle schools. So that's the way it is now. Maybe different October 1. So I'll give you a better number. So that's where we're at with that. Bill works with the principal daily, looking at, I just got a call today, we had 4 or 5 more students. We're trying to get in. You know, I mean, it just takes time. There's kids at the center being tested, we know, that'll also be in. They're not part of the count. So October 1 gives us a better idea of where we're at. Right? Okay. All right. Facilities, technology, and update.
I'll just, actually, I'm gonna just like.
Richard.
Okay.
Rich has to leave.
I guess.
I'll just be brief on the facilities update side. I want to save all for the sites and facilities meeting coming up. Excuse me, allergies. Over the summer, all the floors were waxed, all the walls were clean. Custodians did an incredible job of getting all new prepped. Park Avenue, as folks have seen, was a Herculean effort by Jack and his crew over there. I mean, there was dust flying until the last day, so that was really yeoman's work over there on their part. Big projects were completed over the summer. We did actually added an office space at ACE. We divided a classroom over there, so CNA Tennis Up has an office right off the main office, which is kind of neat now. Pembroke, we put up another wall, which created another classroom, which got music off the stage, which was a benefit there. Rogers Park, there are actually some small configuration changes there. We actually moved the main office and moved the traffic pattern flow through there. So now there's a kind of a front reception. You go through the first set of doors and you come in through the sides. It actually works out really well. We did it through kind of a demountable wall system that we've been using for a while. A couple small items to do on the list. DHS, we bought a new set of risers there. There's some safety issues on those. We replaced those. Bunch of other small things, a lot of desks, a lot of chairs that go to our cafeteria tables, those sorts of things. But I mean, overall, facilities really did incredible. Thanks just quickly to Ed Lathrop. I mean, if anyone knows Ed, he's kind of our clock and PA system person. Ed did a ton of work at Park Avenue on weekends, and it really was one of the unsung heroes to get the schools put together. I mean, really just, kudos to him. He's been in the position for many years. What's inside that man's brain, I just hope we can bottle somewhere. It's like, write it down, write it down, write it down. And like I said, facilities has been really wonderful. Technology update, we did execute our technology lease at the high school. We're in the process of deploying that. We deployed 200 teacher laptops in the last week and a half. We're in the process of upgrading our computer labs up there as well, purchasing Chromebook cards and getting all the various pieces put online. We did wireless deployments, major network upgrades, again, getting this crew of 5 people that they really do incredible work with the amount of staff that they have. Copy machines, those are done and passed. 75 units were dropped in 5.5 days. Aztec that did a wonderful job there. All machines are up and on the line. We had one machine with a couple of bugs, and we took care of that. The new card system is working. Staff really seems to like it. When you scan, the job comes out, it follows you around the district. And that, the solar project, we did get approval for that. That's coming at Morris Street and West Side Academy. Again, more to come on that as far as how we kind of plan to roll that out in conjunction with the City Council to get those approvals passed. We do have the grant until October of 2015, so we have a little bit of time if I need to begin those meetings next couple of weeks, months. That's it, guys.
You want to mention the amount of money that we're spending?
And over the summer, Finance Building Board, we started adding up numbers, and I kind of reviewed back like different projects that we've done. And technology investment in the district in the past 2.5 years is $2.8 million between our leases, our grants that we received, and additional city reserve fund dollars that we set aside. So really incredible pieces that have happened there that will help, major infrastructure pieces that have happened. And I was actually really surprised by that number myself. Again, and that's not counting Title I and different other federal, that really have a lot more stipulations. This is just kind of general student population stuff, private stuff.
And the distribution?
Distribution is fairly equal across the district. Elementary, because of their size, there's 13. Each one has a brand new mobile card and wireless grid. Middle schools, as the board knows, we did a big technology refresh there. So it's fairly even across the district, which was also good to see.
Yeah, our worry is always that the secondary seems to get, but in this case, they got about $700,000-800,000 a piece, which was...
One last, we are loading all of our energy data into School Do. So we will be getting now a lot of trend reports on it. Personally, I think the data is going to be very amazing to see what we've done on utilities and driving down the costs in the past 3 or 4 years. I mean, Park Avenue is still running 0 meter right now. I mean, for those at least 7 out of 12 months are running 0 meter on Park Avenue. So just incredible.
That's excellent. That's an excellent.
Yeah.
Answer. All right. Okay, hiring updates.
You saw in the consent calendar, there have been quite a number of retirements, resignations, lots of transition. I can tell you that we are still processing people. This was a very unusual year for us in that we had a lot of people leave kind of right in that 10-day period right before school started, which created some real challenges for us. And leaving for a variety of different reasons. So I can't even tell you, that there was any one reason that people were all leaving for more money or it was really a variety of reasons, but it created some real challenges for us. The last number that I saw this afternoon was 111 certified staff members, over 200 non-certified staff members, so more than 350 or so employees processed by the 2 folks in my office. So yeoman's work to them. And the 110 certified staff, 111 certified staff are terrific. I've already gotten a bunch of emails, particularly from the new middle school where it really is visible to people that there was a whole group of new people coming in. We just had tremendous feedback at the quality and their willingness to roll up their sleeves and get started. They're eager, and that's been true across the district. I think Joe alluded to the challenges Park had with getting open. Those teachers, even newbies, were in there at the very last minute trying to get their classrooms ready and did it with a smile, with some great leadership over there, and I think they opened very successfully as well with their challenges. So I've been delighted. I continue to look now as we go into the next couple of weeks at the demographics of this group. So my hope is for the next meeting, I'll be able to show you some graphs, some statistics about what the group is made up of. And that's really a credit to the technology implementation we put in the HR database in the last 2 or 3 years and are working with the data group downstairs, so data folks downstairs. We had all new challenges this year trying to make sure everyone was into our school in a timely manner, that they were in high observation in a timely manner. So we have seen our 2 departments really pulling together in ways that they haven't done before, and that's going to reveal a whole ream of new efficiencies for us because we bring different strengths to the table. So I'm excited about where we go next now that we've gotten the bodies in. Now we're going to look at how we not only report these folks, but where they came from. And One of the goals that you'll see, I think, from the HR office this year will be to try to do an even better job of matching the demographics of the group that we hire to our student population. And again, something made possible by the data department that's able to give us some really good information about our students and now about our teachers. So I'm excited about what's coming. I'm delighted and exhausted that we're done. And again, if there's anybody to get any credit at all, it's the team that I have working in my office. They've done just a tremendous job again. And just by way of background, in the 5 or 6 years that Laura Locke has been here, we've gone from summers where we hire 35 to 40 certified teachers, and we did 111. So her job is increased fourfold.
Well, your team is as good as the leader, okay? Moving on.
The commission back to school meeting we had late August. You may have read the commissioner is resigning. I'm not sure when he's going to leave. You know, it's dependent on the election. He receives, gets a new job, he'll leave, and I think they'll put an interim in, which doesn't really help things in a way with an interim, but I think that's the way it's going to be. Because the way the state statute has been rewritten, the governor gets to recommend to the state board, the next commission, and it has to be approved by the legislators. My role as the president-elect for CAPS, we were meeting with legislators, talking about what we'd like to see in the next commissioner. I can say to you that with your constituents, you may want to extend it as well. I know the teachers are having a night. You may have gotten something in your packets, I'm not sure. That's co-sponsoring of the PTO. They're going to have the candidates, and that's one of the things we talked about in terms of asking them, what do you expect from the next commission? They will be expected to vote. So after the November election. So we've talked at that meeting about the transition. The commissioner talked about and highlighted some of the schools, and Danbury was one of them. I'm glad to say that. In terms of the Alliance districts that are making a difference, the largest challenge to us and to the state has been the yellow population. If you look at our current material that we're getting on the data, it indicates that the group that we need to move the most are English language learners. The state's been focused on it. They really have no answers. They have aggregated a number of folks in the state, and we have a few people on that commission to work with them. And I'm looking forward in some direction in that area, so we can certainly use some help. He also spent some time talking about SBAC. You know, we didn't participate in SBAC last year. I think it was a good idea for us. And we were one of 11 districts that took the old legacy test, CAPS and CMTs. As it come to fruition, SBAC results are not going to be available. The data is not useful. There's no standards, no scale scores. So the scores that we have are none, we can't compare them either. So we're using them as best we can as indicators. There was a recent report out, I was going to say Danbury wasn't on it as a feeling district. We were, it was from an independent group. They were using different scale scores. I think this year will make a difference on the SBAC for us. The teachers right now are looking at, and the commission talked about teacher evaluation, accountability, about how do we move students forward. And it was delightful to hear that we're not looking at balancing the state issues with education and the gap on teachers' shoulders and accountability. There's a realization finally that using test scores by itself may not be the best way. And that was the first thing I've heard them say officially from the state office, that they want to look at things differently. You read this past weekend, he did not mention until last Friday that we're really concerned about the testing at the high school, the junior year. Does it make any sense? SBAC is more of a criterion reference test. It's something that should correlate closer to your curriculum. So it's not a predictor, but it's actually something that's more diagnostic and something you can utilize. Currently, the test at the high school, the SAT that the students have taken is a gateway test. It predicts whether or not students will be successful in college. Well, if they redo the SATs, because now the SBACs are going to be looked at from colleges as to students' ability to transition into college, that the SATs may turn out to be more like SBACs. The person who developed the SBACs for the company is now the head CEO for ETS, and they're moving in that direction. If in fact that comes to fruition, we may see today that that the testing may be the SAT. So that, he made a public announcement last week, it was in the papers this week. Now he's leaving, so you're going to get a new person, so who knows, but it does make some sense as people are finally looking at, all this testing, where are we going with it? What do we really need, and how can we be less invasive? That's why I'm proud that you did, and I mentioned to the commissioner, that you did eliminate high school testing. Not testing itself, but you put the testing where it belonged in the classroom, and you gain 18 weeks of instructional time. And I think we're going to hear something about that. He was talking to his staff about looking at the way Danbury High School did that as a model for the school district. So I was impressed. So the meeting up there was kind of his last swan thing, and that's the way it goes. Well, stay tuned. Pardon?
They fired him for all of this stuff we did.
I mean, if I may say, there's a gatekeeper, and then there's someone who shakes the vote. And he was shaking the vote. Connecticut was deemed as the state with the highest achievement gap. He was brought in to make some changes. And change agents don't say that. I mean, that's so. And for us, he's treated us fairly, and have gone on record and said that. He's worked with Bill, his group, constantly trying to make modifications, and has done that. So,
could a new commissioner have any effect on the alliance programs or grants?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, we keep asking. CJEF. That's the, as you know, the court case against the state, saying that you're underfunding certain districts. We're one of them. We should be in the $70, $80 million range. ECS money, we're in, what do we have, 26 million? Yeah. So, you might be interested to know, we had CJEF attorneys come in. They interviewed a number of our teachers, a number of administrators. I'm a witness, Bill's a witness. We'll be testifying in the case. It was supposed to start September, they moved it to January already. So interesting, that's after the elections, right? So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So anyway, but we're ready to go, and we're making the case that, we're offering programs here, but our programs, in terms of what we need to be offering our kids, could be much more enriched if we had other resources. And so we'll see. Stay tuned. I'll let you know how that goes. Nellie Mae Grant. Nellie Mae Grant is one of the premier grant educational grant donors in the nation. They've given the high school quite a bit of money to do some of the reform work. The coherence plan that we did last year, that was funded by Nellie Mae. They called me 2 weeks ago and said they liked the work that we were doing, and would I mind would I take $100,000 to continue the work? It's true.
How nice of you to do that. How nice of you.
Let me think about it. So quickly, so there were some questions we had to answer, and we've turned it in. And one of the things that we're doing is, it's the last thing on here. At opening, we've been talking about the coherence plan, trying to focus our goals around critical stance and problem solving. And we think if we get everybody focusing in that with many activities, we'll start hitting and making a difference on the gap. One of the things that we're looking at, extending time. There are kids that certainly have the ability, but for various reasons need more time to learn the concepts. So at the high school, we're looking at, I'm calling it Twilight School. We're looking at a few of our elementaries that are deemed improved schools, what other category? Review schools, to put some resources in there and see if we can, with Ann's group, extend the day for youngsters. And if that model works, then I'll go back to Nellie Mae and I'll try to get it for all our kids. Because we think if we can extend the time with our own teachers who know the curriculum, that really could benefit our youngsters as they progress. We think that's something we're excited. So I think we're looking at $100,000 to do that kind of work. And we submitted that to them, and hopefully they'll say, now you can have the money, I'll write you the check. So that was good news. So that's it. Opening day, those of you that weren't there, we had a good opening day up at the high school. I thought that Mr. Raleigh did a nice job. He was the teacher of the year that, left the district, going to another. But in his talk, I think he recognized, as people have said here, you stand up there and you take an award, but you really can't take it for yourself. There's so many people, and he made the point, that do the work, that made his work so good for him to do and so meaningful for kids. So I thought that was a great message that he did send.
A great speech.
Yeah, that he sent out to our, recognizing all of our teachers and support staff for the work that they do. So it was a good opening day. Before I leave, Bill, you have anything? Joe? Zero? Thank you.
Okay, so we have the items for information. Everybody's read them. Does anyone have any questions they want to ask? Okay, Richard?
Joe, on the financial report, in the item B, the year-end financial report, regarding our conversation on the line number 200, where we were refunding or giving the city that $1.5 million, you indicated that was in the encumbrance line for the line 200, correct?
Inside line 200, you'll see there's it's, let me get that.
3.6 you have as an encumbrance.
$3.6 million. Inside that number is $1.5 million, which is to set aside money into the city's and board joint self-insurance reserve fund. What is also inside that number is what's known as IBR, anticipated but not reported claims. So let's say I go to the doctor on, June 20th. I have, a fairly sizable procedure done. Those claims won't show up until maybe July or August. We have to make Cigna sends us a projection and say you have this much anticipated claim, and you have to book those in your old year to get expensed in the sense of your new year.
What I was going to ask is, since what's normally extraordinary this year would be the 1.5 million relative to normal course of business, could that be highlighted somewhere as a footnote rather than show it separately, that the 1.5 is part of an attainable goal of $5 or $6 million that we left to fund to the city for this particular self-insured reserve?
Yeah.
I think would be, one, it does us justice, indicating that we've come up with that amount of money rather than just add it to the bottom of the 182,000.
The check hasn't been cut over to the city yet. We're still in the middle of our audit process. So right now, you'll probably see on the next agenda or so, I've got to talk to the city when actually wants to transfer that money over. You'll probably see a memo going over the city finance director at the next meeting or so.
But if you asterisk that line number, put a footnote on the bottom, I think it'd be clearer than that, just see what the accumulation is from year to year. Thank you.
That's good. Anybody else have any questions of anybody? No? Seeing none? All right, we'll move ahead. Oh, to the board chairperson, that would be me, yes. There was a conversation on the cell tower. Paul Rotel had called me the last couple of weeks, a couple of times. And, I'm sorry, can you not hear me? Not hear you. You cannot hear me, okay. I said, as to the cell tower, Paul Rotel had been calling me a few times and sent me an email. And the last email he sent me the statute, the state statutes as to the locale, how far away things are. I'm going to forward all that to you so that you're more informed next time someone speaks to you about it. I also have a report from the American Cancer Society on the effect of cell towers in children. Okay, so I will also forward that to everybody. The other thing is I wanted to thank Bob for coming to the opening. He was the only one here besides me. And how many thousands?
The turnout.
It was unbelievable. It was an amazing turnout of all the teachers coming to work. It wasn't all the new teachers. And what amazed me is as I walk down the aisle, people would go, see me and go, hey, Eileen, and I turn around, and now we have families working for us. Teachers with their daughters who are now adults that are working, that are teaching. It was pretty amazing for me to see. I also want to thank David, Richard, Janelli, and Kathy for sitting on that board to hear the complaints of this parent who with the busing problems or his perceived problems with busing. Thank you. It was rather tedious, but you guys did a great job. Thank you very much. And that's all I have to say right now. And I believe that takes us Does anybody else have any needs that they want to report on or anything? Oh,
Just footnote, you may know that Education Connection currently has a facility they use on Main Street. They're in the process of looking to relocate.
January, they said today. January, they expect to relocate.
Yeah, okay, they were looking to purchase a building from the Worcester School.
They did.
So you'll be seeing them there.
thank you. Yeah,
And just the citywide PTO had their first meeting on Monday, and we met at the West Side Middle School Academy. And some of the parents that were there, you know, they couldn't get over it. They loved it. And
Very
Dr.
impressive.
Volunteers was next door, Dr. Russo gave us a tour also, so.
They're finding my way around there.
That's great.
Couldn't find the light in the bathroom, but he did okay.
I went on the tour with Sal when they were opening, the reopening. It was quite an experience. I knew then he was going to be lost forever. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's my report, and thanks to everybody that was there, because we were all just about all of us were there, with the exception of the people that actually travel and work far away. All righty. Would someone make a motion to be in executive session?
Make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's go. Thank you very much, everybody. You'll have to excuse us.